Hi, y'all. Welcome to Paranormal number 4. Let's go ahead and get things started. But before we do that, of course, just to summarize, last time we had we went by what Shogo was going through. He's trying to bring, what's her name? Yuko. I believe it's her name, or Yoko. Trying to bring her back from the dead because he is down bad for her. He has a major crush and he wants to resurrect her after she died. And we still don't know who killed her or how she killed her. We've got all sorts of curses flying around. We've just had to realize that we need to, lower down the volume on certain things at certain times. And then we got to meet Yako Sakazaki as she is trying to find out what happened to her friend Michio Shiraishi, and she's gone to her friend Mio for advice and also on how to use the spirit board because Mio is psychic. And I believe they said that she was an apprentice of a spiritualist. So that's been exciting. And they both died, by the way. So maybe there's a way to fix that. I don't know. This whole thing is wild right now. So I think we're going to start off here. Not dreams. Oh, and of course, because there's a vibe, my cute face will ruin this vibe. So I'm going to have to go ahead and bloop, 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 go away. That way y'all can hear my mediocre voice acting. It's going to be great. Oh my gosh. We're over here. Not dreams. When the son of Haruo Shigima was kidnapped, a botched investigation by the police resulted in the child's murder. Ooh. 1 year later, Haruo has hired a private investigator to help resolve the unsettled case. Late at night, while speaking to the detective in her home, something strange suddenly appears. More killing. Kill the flame bearers. We have now acquired the power of the cursed stone, the haunting clappers. You can use it to kill those with fire or a fire-starting device on their person. That's what happened to Shogo because he had the lighter that one time, and then we were like, nah, bro, throw it away. Kills by burning the one who is in possession of fire or a fire-starting device. A resentful memory. Red, red, red. Everything is dyed crimson. My home is burning to the ground. It's so hot. So hot. I must call for help, but I cannot speak. My throat must be burned up with the smoke. No, I think I'm already on fire. That's right. I'll just use the clappers. Clack, clack. Is anybody there? Clack, clack. Ooh, you can hear the clacking. Why is no one coming? I'm going to burn to death. How did it come to this? Oh, right. Her. It must be the work of that vixen who appeared suddenly and enchanted my lord. That witch. Those hauntingly cold eyes had my lord dancing in the palm of her hand. Perhaps I was also taken in by her. How many innocent people did I lure in under orders? This must be karma. The sound of a heavy bell. It feels like my head will split open. Ah, right, the evening bell. That must be why nobody can hear the sound of my clappers. I've got to do it louder. It's basically just frantic clacking. A murderous impulse seeps into my soul like thick black tar. Now. Kill! Kill, kill, kill! Can you hear it, Curse Bearer? You who so strongly desires the right. Kill them. Kill them. Oh, sorry, vibes. Back with me, ma'am? I can't say I understand what just happened, but it certainly seems to have put you in a good mood. This might be the first time I've ever seen you really smile. Sweet dreams. And she has had it. Haruo is a housewife who resides in a manor near Shumoku Bridge. Her 11-year-old son, Shuichi, was kidnapped and murdered about a year ago. The death was a result of a mistake on the part of the detective assigned to the case. A mistake which enraged the kidnapper and had him cut off all contact with the police, leaving no room for negotiation. The incident was covered up and Shuichi's killer remains at large. What? Leading to the aggrieved Haruo to call on the services of private investigator Richter Kai to uncover the truth. That sucks. They just buried it. Corruption. The Shigema family came from a line of samurai who built their residence in Honjo during the Edo period. They assumed important positions in the police force following the Meiji Revolution, thereby protecting their family's elevated status. Even today, many in the Shigema line work as police bureaucrats and senior police officers. Haruo's father sits in the upper echelons of the National Police Agency, and her husband, adopted into the Shigema clan through an arranged marriage, is also a highly respected agency official. Huh. And yet, they're covering up. That's weird. That's messed up. They're covering up the murder of one of their own and a child. The grandson of somebody who sits on the upper echelons of the National Police Agency and also a highly respected agency official. That's okay. So the grandfather, I'm sorry, the grandson and the father, it's like big time. That doesn't seem right. Something's up. Something really bad is up. However, her family prioritizes work above all else. It wasn't long before Haruo's marriage grew cold. Though she wants for nothing, she is isolated from her neighbors and withdrawn from society. Seeing her son grow into a young man gave Haruo a purpose in life, but it was cut short by the kidnapping incident. Following the incident, Haruo spent many days in a deep depression, breaking into sudden fits of shouting and wandering around in the middle of the night. Her cheerful, loving disposition faded away, and she took to making snide remarks at her husband, which only further soured their relationship. Well, I can see why. I mean, pretty much the love of her life, her son, was murdered, and because somebody messed up, and her own husband and her own father are covering it up. Yeah. Can't blame her. A few months ago, Haruo's husband was transferred to another area for work and now rarely returns home, with Haruo left to live in the large empty mansion alone. As a housekeeper who has been with the family for a long time comes in to take care of all the housework, Haruo has nothing but time on her hands. Time enough to hire a private investigator and figure out what the fuck happened. No. Not dreams. Sounds like something I won't want to hear about. Sure, have a seat. A private investigator I hired. A friend told me about him. They said he's not very well known, but he's good at what he does. When I first visited his office in Ota City and saw how he dressed, I could hardly believe he was a detective. But after talking to him for a while, I changed my mind. He says some strange things at times, but he seems like the reliable sort. Richter Kai, no curse echo. Eccentric man, yeah, that's one the Shogo ran into. He's actually a private investigator with an office in Ota City. After taking on a request from Haruo Shigema to investigate the unsolved kidnapping and murder of her son, he gets caught up in the events surrounding the rite of resurrection. Once a police officer, Richter was racked with guilt over the police's inability to help those in need, and quit the force to start his own private investigation firm. However, his soft-hearted nature leads him to take on too many cases and has put his office in dire financial straits. He is still in business. How he is still in business is a mystery, with some whispering that a wealthy patron is keeping him afloat. Richter studied alongside Detective June Erio at the police academy. Somewhat surprisingly, given his outlandish clothing and mannerisms, Richter excels at covert investigations and tailing his targets. He proudly refers to himself as an investigator extraordinaire, though that only ever succeeds at impressing himself. Richter's biggest source of happiness is nuzzling his pet female albino parakeet, Ernestine. That's so cute, which he keeps in his office. He also enjoys collecting mockingbird stickers, a popular line of merchandise featuring birds inexplicably dressed like delinquents, and can be frequently sighted searching around town for them. Oh, that's funny. That reminds me of the game Hatoful Boyfriend with the pigeons, the pigeon dating sim. There was I can't remember the name, but there was a storyline where there was this like sparrow, and she was in a pigeon biker gang, and there were biker delinquents and pigeons, dressed up like delinquents, just running amok. It was great. I wonder if they look like that. While out and about, Richter typically leaves the office and, more importantly, Ernestine, poor Ernestine, in the care of Amamori, a junior high schooler who volunteered to assist Richter after being involved in a previous case. Well, at least Ernestine has company. Birds need lots of company. Azure Heron Agency. Oh, a heron? That's interesting. There's a lot of herons around where I live, and also even my family name means heron, or even heron killer. Sometimes it just depends. I've seen a few different versions, but what's interesting about this, an azure, so it's a blue heron, but I think around here is gray herons, and herons typically have a link to the underworld, like they're underworld messengers or the messengers of death or the dead. So that's an interesting name. So Richter Kai's private investigation firm in Kamata, Ota City. Originally, Kai thought to give it a simple name like Kai's Detective Agency, but upon hearing that people are more likely to pick names listed at the front of the phone book alphabetically, he decided to pick a name starting with an A. Thus, the Azure Heron Agency was established. That Z, though, it's not quite at the front, but it's close. However, it is questionable whether the heron, a bird of somewhat ominous significance, there you go, is an effective symbol for attracting customers. Even his own assistant has referred to the name as confusing at best. After all, rather than a azure heron, Richter keeps a white parrot as a pet and dresses not in blue but mostly in white. If there was a symbolic connection to be made here, it has surely been lost on all but Richter himself. A private investigator, also known as a private eye, is a detective who operates their own agency. Although there are no formal qualifications necessary to become a private investigator, many are retired police agents or detectives due to the similarities between the work involved. At a glance, private investigation firms and inquiry offices might look similar, but they carry out different types of investigations. Inquiry offices specialize in conducting credit checks on businesses, while private investigators are generally involved in tailing persons of interest and gaining information surreptitiously. Well, yeah, they would have to get it surreptitiously, because how would they be a private eye if they're not secretive about it? See what we got here. A fax machine. I can send images to other places along the telephone network. I don't really know how it works. Most houses don't have one. I rarely find a use for it. A rotary phone. The mansion has a private line. A hanging scroll. I don't know who painted it. It's been hanging here since before I was born. An arrangement of flowers. We bring in someone to do it. I don't even know what the flowers are called. Ooh. A stereo unit with separated speakers designed for home use. My husband insisted on buying one, even though he isn't one to listen to music often. Well, I'll be damned. Is that what I think it is? Goodness, you made me jump. It's just a silly little sticker my son got from somewhere or other. He put it up just before, well, you know what happened. I still can't bring myself to take it down. Let me take a closer look. Yep, I knew it. It's Head Hencho from way back in set number 1. This is a real collector's item. Look at him. Head Hencho. Excuse me? Don't tell me you've never heard of the Mockingbirds. The what? They're the hottest new craze. Cutie little birds dressed up like rough and tumble delinquents. Oh yeah, this guy's a bird fan. Cutie little birds. I've never heard of them, but this certainly seems to matter to you. The best part is, nobody knows who made them. They just started showing up around town, and soon enough, they'd won everybody's hearts. The story goes that they're made by some anonymous artist who covertly leaves them behind in specific locations. No one knows when or where they'll show up next. They're basically an urban legend of sorts. To think one would turn up here of all places. This is a good sign. I'm sure of it. Oh, well, that's nice. These popular bird mascot stickers seem to pop up everywhere. Nobody knows who the legendary artist is behind these quirky birds, but they quickly became popular for their surreal yet oddly cute designs. Be in the right place at the right time in Honjo, and you might just be able to find all 20 of them scattered around. Legend has it, collecting them all will bring good luck. Well, that's awesome! Head Hencho. Approach the net. On the bottom shelf, surrounded by darkness. Oh, are these hints? Interesting. I'm not going to remember all of those, but good to know. Have to refer to that. Ooh. Is that the color television, the one at the beginning of the game? Maybe. The color television. Father bought one as soon as it hit the market. He likes to have the latest gadgets. Unlike the latest models, there is no remote control. We've had it for a long time. Back when it was new, we all gathered around it and marveled at it as a family. But with Father and my husband being away so often, it quickly fell into disuse. Oh, and also her son. Oh. The guest table. I don't know where Father got this old thing from, but I've never liked it. My heart's still racing. This is it. My chance. At long last. Let me bring you up to speed. We were in the middle of a chat when you suddenly started spacing out. And the whole time you were grinning to yourself like you just won the lottery. Wasn't that one of the hints of the birds? Maybe. Care to tell me what that was all about? Well, where to start? Interesting. Very interesting. So, the haunting clapper's curse echo appeared out of nowhere. told you how to perform the rite of resurrection, and gave you the curse you'll need to do it. Have I got that right? That's right. So it's all real. Honestly, I still find it hard to believe. But I guess I have to now. Oh, there it is. I saw that cursed stone appear in your hand myself, so it just showed up. It looked like it popped clean out of thin air. With evidence that clear, there's no denying that there's some supernatural force at work. I don't think you quite understand. Oh? This isn't about evidence, and it isn't about belief. It's more than that. I know it's real. The moment the curse appeared, I knew everything before it even said a word. It was already there in my head, as clear as day. You just knew, huh? It was etched onto my soul, along with the curse echo's resentful memories. So I can feel it, what it was like. Dying like they did. Hundreds of years ago. Wreathed in flame, writhing in pain as my flesh blackens and my blood boils. I can feel it. All the agony, all the rage. It fills me with bloodlust. I think I need to kill someone. Anyone will do, just as long as they're carrying fire. I see. That could be a problem. You think so? From what I know of you, I was sure you'd see it as an opportunity. The stronger the desire to resurrect someone, the stronger the urge to kill. That's how it seems to me, anyway. Good grief. Talk about a spanner in the works. I say we take stock for a moment, remind ourselves where we've come from and where we're going. That might be a good idea. Trying to think here. But no, we'll keep going. That's what you hired me for, ma'am. To look into your son's kidnapping last year. To uncover the truth behind the abduction and murder of Shuichi Shigima. What about the cover-up, though? Oh, yes. I remember. They never did find the one who did it. That's what I'm here about today, in fact. Kind of you to let me drop by so late, by the way. I've been turning over every last stone, and I've come up with a grand total of 1 lead. So you said. As far as the police are concerned, it's a cold case, but I've managed to make some headway. I remember. You were just about to tell me. The Shigima kidnapping overview. A kidnapping and murder case that took place in Honjo Sumida around 1 year ago. Haruo Shigima's son, Shuichi, age 11, was kidnapped on his way home from school, with a ransom being demanded that same evening. Initially, the kidnapping was thought of as a simple extortion scheme, but when it came to light that the Shigima family was closely tied to the police, and Shuichi was in fact the grandson of a senior official, it was quickly assumed that the perpetrator was acting upon a grudge against the police force. The kidnapping was treated as a direct attack against the good name of the police, and a large-scale investigation was launched that used the best equipment available to trace phone calls. This made it all the more embarrassing when they were unable to catch the culprit, losing the public's confidence. The culprit grew cocky, relentlessly mocking the police force. After 3 days of failure after failure, Haruo reached a breaking point Spurred by concern for her son, she resolved to hand over the ransom money as fast as possible. But her husband and father, who held the prestige of the police in high regard, refused, saying that they would not let the criminal win by giving in to their demands. The increasingly frantic detective assigned to the case lost his temper when the criminal called to give an ultimatum, causing the culprit to never make contact again. Ooh. Yeah, that's tough. They were right in not giving into the ransom because, that would just be like, oh, hey, if you just kidnap, then you can get the ransom money. But that police officer really screwed it up by losing his temper, because that's not what you do in those type of negotiations. At least from what I know from movies and stuff, but who knows. Okay, another week passed and Shuichi's body was found floating in the Sumida River. Shuichi's death could be largely ascribed to the police's incompetence, but this was ultimately covered up with stringent media embargoes. The investigation was never closed, but the case has long gone cold. If they were tracing the phone call, how come they didn't find the guy or surround the building, though? Unless they just, trace the phone number of the phone call? Well, I guess they're saying it made him all the more embarrassing when they were unable to catch the culprit. Yeah, maybe. Shuichi Shigema, the only son of Haruo Shigema, he was kidnapped and murdered 1 year ago. His body was discovered floating in the Sumida River, so he would have been 12. Shuichi was a conscientious, brave young boy who was determined to protect his mother, Haruo, amid his father's frequent absences. He dreamed of becoming a police officer and displayed diligence and an impressive sense of responsibility from a young age, likely due to being raised in an extremely strict environment. Born in the early 70s, he spent his days immersed in various activities and studies, including playing piano, learning the abacus, taking English lessons, and training a kendo. So right now, we're at least in the early 80s. At the earliest, we're in 82. If he was born in the early 70s, so if he was born 1970, so early mid 80s. Okay. Shuichi's tendency to put other people's needs over his own meant he died without ever telling his classmates how much he longed for them all to go out on a hunt for mockingbird stickers. Aww. We still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Tell you what, why don't I tell you what I found, and then we can make a decision. All right. I suppose there's not much point going over the kidnapping itself. No, I'm very familiar. Then I'll leave that for the files to cover and just confirm a few things about the case. The police have traced the culprit's call back to, let's see here, northern Oyoko River here in Sumida City. That's quite a wide area. Okay, so it just determined the area, not like a building. Okay. Makes sense now. That's right. In the end, they never managed to nail down exactly where the calls were coming from, but it was almost certainly the same location that Shuichi was being held captive, since Shuichi's voice could be heard during the killer's calls. Northern Oyoko Bridge is quite a distance from Shuichi's normal school commute. Factoring in that he was seen at school but went missing before he arrived at his house, it's likely that he was abducted by car on his route home. Maybe, but... Exactly. Shuichi was a clever boy. He would never have gotten into a car with a stranger. That's right. I was very firm about that. I know he understood too. I even saw him warning the other children. It's possible that they forced him into the car. The only issue there is there weren't any witnesses to the kidnapping. You can't bundle someone into a car with that many students around and not be noticed. But nobody came forward to say they saw anything suspicious. So, did they target him at some other time or somewhere away from his usual route? Both of those seem a little far-fetched. Which raises the question, how did the kidnapper pull it off? The police never managed to find an answer. In the end, they decided that the kidnapper must have just gotten lucky. Well, why not turn the problem on its head? The kidnapper managed to convince Shuichi to get into their car, but how? The only thing that makes sense to me is if they were somebody that he would have had a reason to trust. A teacher perhaps, or a relative, or somebody else that he knew. But all of the adults Shuichi knew had alibis. The police checked them all thoroughly. They did, huh? No one throws numbers at a problem like the cops. But what if it wasn't someone he knew? Or rather, what if the culprit disguised themselves as a police officer? That would explain why he didn't find them suspicious. The Shikima family has close ties with the police after all. He would have had a reason to trust them. You might be right. But surely that couldn't have. Well, there's a problem with the theory. You'd be surprised how much police officers stand out. That's sort of the point after all. They're meant to be a visible deterrent against crime. But there's another interesting little bit of trivia I happen to know. When you ask people to imagine someone suspicious, nobody pictures women or children. Even kids who've been warned about stranger danger often subconsciously expect that danger to look like an adult man. Besides, Shuichi was the sort of boy who wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. He must have had a very strong sense of right and wrong. That's right. Wait, surely you can't mean... Now you're getting it. If, say, a young woman approached Shuichi asking for help, what would he have done? If someone like that said they were lost and asked him for directions, would he have gotten into a car? He might have. My husband always told him that a man had a duty to watch out for women and children. You could certainly argue that kind of attitude is outdated nowadays, but if Shuichi believed it, then we might have something here. Then you think the culprit was a young woman? But it was a man's voice on the phone. She might have been an accomplice, or maybe she didn't even realize she was being used. If anything, that would explain why she hasn't come forward. She herself might not realize she had anything to do with the case. Uh-oh. So, the question is, did anybody see Shuichi speaking with a young woman on the day of his disappearance? See, what I said about other people's biases, that goes for witnesses too. And I figured that maybe if I started asking new questions, I might get some new answers. So I spent my day asking around Shuichi's school route, seeing if anyone had seen something. And one man thought he had. Do you mean he saw it happen? Well, I can't say that for sure yet. It turned out he wanted something from me, so he asked if we could talk in private. several hours earlier. All right, this should do. There's no one around. We can speak in confidence. Excuse me, what was your name again? Junouchi. Junouchi. Oh, shit. That guy that was in the school, that's the homeroom teacher of Yako and Mio. And possibly Michio? I can't remember if they were in the same class or not. Got it. Well, Junouchi, I'm all ears. Just so we're on the same page. You're a private detective investigating Shuichi Shikima's kidnapping. Do I have that right? Of course. What else do I look like? How should I know what a private... How should I know what a private detective looks like? Forget it. Look, I'll tell you straight. My life is in danger. I need your help. You'll excuse me if that caught me a little off guard. Let me ask you straight. Who is trying to kill you? A student called Michio Shiraishi? What? Yako's friend who killed herself? Interesting. The schoolgirl, eh? Sounds like you've been naughty. It's nothing like that. That girl, she's a murderer. I'm the only one who knows, but I saw what she did. Michio Shiraishi. I saw her kidnap Shuichi Shigima. Come again? I saw her talk to him on the street and lead him away. I didn't think much of it at the time, but then he went missing. She murdered him, I'm sure of it. Or at least she's got something to do with it. That's what you're here for, isn't it? Then you can't let her get to me. If that's true, you've been sitting on some valuable information. Why didn't you tell anybody? Well, you see, if you can't explain that, I don't have any reason to believe you. I couldn't. She told me she'd kill me if I spoke a word. You're telling me a schoolgirl had you scared for your life? So you've been sitting on that all this time, and you think she's coming for you now that you've spilled the beans? Yes, that's it exactly. I'm begging you, don't let her get me. Arrest her. I'm telling you, she's a demon. Well, you seem to believe what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up. How could a schoolgirl have a fully grown man so terrified? Good point. You don't know what she can do. She'll curse me. Curse you? I'm sorry, but you're losing me here. It's true. Her house, it's... forget it. Why do I even bother? You seemed dubious enough to believe me, but I should have known you'd never understand. Enough. I'll go find someone else to help me. Hey. And that's about the long and short of it. I can hardly believe it. At the time, I thought his mention of curses was just crazy talk, but I'm starting to see that there might have been more to it. Then, if we can just find that girl... Curse or no curse, if she was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping, then there's a good chance she knows something. On top of that, I did some digging on the man I spoke to. His full name's Kohei Junouchi. He's a teacher at Komagata High School here in Sumida. teacher? Then this schoolgirl is one of his students? I think that's very likely. At least we've got a lead. Hopefully it'll be the breakthrough we're looking for. So, the rite of resurrection, huh? I read about that in an occult magazine the other day. Apparently, some old books showed up recently with all the gory details. And they say that the rite can be found somewhere in Honjo. I remember the first time you told me about that. It felt like my prayers had been heard. Like I had hope, real hope for the first time. Ever since that awful day, I've wondered, what if I hadn't sent him to school? What if I just paid the ransom? Not a day goes by when I don't think that if I'd done something differently, Shuichi would still be alive. You can't blame yourself, ma'am. It was the culprit's fault, not yours. Though I know that won't help any. Grief is funny like that. I'm guessing that's why you're after the rite? Guess I didn't need to ask. It's written all over your face. I can tell how much he meant to you. But, and this is a big but, if this rite is the real deal, using it will mean killing someone and stealing their soul. Oh, she don't care. Yeah, she doesn't care. Is that a problem? If it comes to that, I'm afraid I'll have to stop you. Oh, that's a shame. A shame, huh? That's all? I thought if I'm going to be competing with other curse bearers, then your detective skills might come in useful. You realize you're talking about ending someone's life, right? Don't you see an issue with that? I think any parent in my position would happily kill for a chance like this. That's so, is it? Dear, oh dear. What have I gotten myself into? If it makes you uncomfortable, then you won't have to get any blood on your hands yourself. I don't need you to kill the other curse bearers. I only need you to find them. I won't be a party to murder, ma'am. Not even for a client. I see. I didn't realize you were so stubborn. Let me say, though, it's not like I don't get what you're going through. As long as you're not killing anyone with your own hands, maybe I can help you out. What do you have in mind? Well, how about stealing someone else's curse stone after they've filled it with soul dregs? If that was all you were after, then I could lend you my services, guilt-free. If other curse bearers want to kill each other, that's their business. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I guess there's no guarantee the stolen curse stone will work, but we can worry about that later. Well then, I suppose we have a deal. Although, what if I stole a curse stone using my curse? Would you disapprove? That would void our contract, ma'am. Just warning you now. My. Before we go any further, why don't you tell me about that curse of yours? The Haunting Clappers, was it? That's one of the 7 mystery of Honjo, if I remember correctly. That's right. The original story did happen somewhere near here, I think. I'm sure I remember hearing that. In that case, my money would be on all the curse bearers being somewhere in Honjo. Our first move should be to narrow them down. Some of them are bound to try and come for you first. We'll need to be ready. The curses make their bearers more willing to kill, so an attack could come from anywhere. That sounds sensible. And if I remember correctly, your haunting clappers can set people on fire, but only if they have a naked flame or a lighter on their person. Is that right? That's right. In olden times, wooden clappers were used to warn people of fire. I'm guessing it punishes those who don't heed the warning. Oh, the curse punishes those. Okay. It seems like a good curse to have. It's simple and straightforward enough to use. Although it's hard to say how it stacks up without knowing what else is on the table. You really think it's that good? The target can't do much to throw it off, and it has a nice long activation window. It's big that it works on lighters too. Just slip one into your target's pocket and say that condition were already fulfilled before they even knew you're there. They wouldn't even know it hit him. Maybe I won't have to actually use it. I could just tell someone I could, and they'd have to do what oh, that's what she's saying. I could just tell someone I could, and they'd have to do what I said. Threats could work, although without any proof, it'll come down to how convincing you can be. If only you could use the curse, then back out at the last second. At the last second? What an interesting idea. I have a lighter right here. We could try it now. That's an interesting proposition. But maybe not. I'm not quite crazy enough to make myself a guinea pig. Oh, I see. You're an odd one, ma'am, if you don't mind me saying. And I don't think it's just the curse. She has been through shit. Of course she's odd. Some shit. She's been through some shit. You flatter her. As for what to do next, first of all, I think you should stay indoors. Try to not do anything spontaneous or outside of your normal routine. Right then, have you decided what you want me working on? Oh shit. No, I want to see this because she's right. I think that any parent would want this opportunity. She has been through some shit. Investigating the kidnapping won't bring her son back, and she wants her son. Yeah, because I'm thinking, like, if I had a child, I don't know, man. I'm gonna say help me with the right. Bringing my son back is more important. I want you to help me with the rite of resurrection. Roger that. The rite it is. Odds are good that the other curse bearers are also working by night. Anyone they kill under the cover of darkness won't be discovered until sunrise. I bet they'll be trying to do as much as they can before the morning comes. So it's settled then. I'll look into the other curse bearers by night. And once the city wakes up and I can start asking questions, I'll investigate the kidnapping as well. Ooh, thank you, Richter. So he probably would have done both either way. Okay, cool. I'll even try to find Ms. Shiraishi as part of the bargain. Thank you. That's more than enough. Now then. I should get to work. There's only so much time before sunrise. I'll call you if I find out anything new. You stay here and keep a lookout. All right. There's no telling what kinds of curses you might find out on the streets tonight. Don't go outside if you can help it, and try to be ready for anything. I will. Well, if that's all, I should be going. Whew. A nice thought. Looks like she goes outside anyway. Despite having obtained the curse of the haunting clappers, Haruhi Shigema is determined to use the rite of resurrection by stealing the remaining curse stones. She instructs her private investigator Richter to find the other curse bearers. We're probably gonna see her get killed by Shogo. It's been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened, but he hasn't. So all I can do is wait and wait. I know it's dangerous to go out, but I can't just sit here and let this opportunity pass me by. I have to look for her, for Michio Shiraishi. But first, I need to find some more soul dregs. That wasn't there before. Did he drop it? What's this? A newspaper? It must have fallen off the chair. I don't remember seeing that there. Unless maybe it got up when Richter sat on it? I don't know. Don't read it. No, read it. It's a newspaper. I only leave them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them myself. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years. In fact, well, it's not like I have anything better to do. It looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stank so badly it'd make my eyes water. Eventually, people started getting sick, and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then. Although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog. If there's one thing Honjo never wants for, it's horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. Oh, is that when Shogo found June and Tetsuo in the park? Because he was like, hey, maybe it was that body they found. I was like, what body? It might have been this one. Because I think it was like Michio Park or something. Michisaki, I don't remember. A lot of my family are in the police. I hope it wasn't anybody I knew. I don't read the news anymore. Not since last year. It brings back bad memories. Suicide at local high school. Ooh, she's gonna find out. Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off of a roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think. Or maybe it was something about exam pressure. What? But... no, this can't be right. Her name. Michio Shiraishi from Komagata High School? It can't be. What else can we find out? All sorts of articles about the current state of the economy. Now that the post-war boom has passed its peak, we're moving on to the era of large corporations. It's about 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar's down from its height and people are saying it could fall further. There's no denying how much the standard of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and television now, and supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Let's see, land prices skyrocketing. Oh. Seems like only yesterday that people were flocking to arcades to shoot aliens. But now we have these enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our televisions. We got the gaming systems! Everyone's still talking about a superhero series, foreign films, and movies based on the latest bestseller. Back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage. But now it's all about city pop and idols. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. This is a nice little look into what's going on in these early to mid 80s. I hear the big new thing is some mascot line of delinquent birds. Mockingbirds, I think it's called. Was that what Richter was talking about? Trends seem to have such short shelf lives now, with how quickly the times are changing. Oh boy. I think I'm just too old to keep up anymore. It's young people who are leading the way with their modern worldviews. My generation will only fall further behind. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. The country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to get into a good university. With more people in the running than ever, the competition to get into those universities has gotten fierce, though. A new generation is rebelling. Schoolyard violence and delinquency are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. I don't want to read anymore. It'll only remind me of him. Let's see what's going on about television. I don't really watch much television. It feels as if all the information in the world gets passed through that little black box. But father stopped them from reporting on the kidnapping back when it happened. Oh, but she was glad about that. Less fuss, but still. Now the comedy boom is over. All the comedians are flocking to other genres. The occult seems really popular at the moment. Look at all these paranormal specials. Michio Shiraishi, the same girl who witnessed my son's kidnapping, committed suicide last week? But that means Mr. Juanouchi was terrified of someone who had already died? Is that what he meant by a curse? I can't work this out on my own. Maybe Richter will know. Why won't he call? Oh, I haven't left it off the hook, have I? But she said witness, but we're not sure if Michio Shiraishi witnessed or if she was an accomplice. Or even if we can even trust Mr. Junochi. Did you leave it off the hook? I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I made sure the receiver is on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. Ooh, there it is. That must be him. Hello, Shirigima residence. Richter called me out to meet him, and we came here to Komagata Bridge. Richter, there's something I need to tell you. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. Who does he know too? There's something I need to tell you. What's up? Well, that girl, Michio Shiraishi, the one who was with Suichi on the day of the kidnapping? That's her. Well, she's dead. She's what? Oh, he didn't know. The student who committed suicide last week. That was her. I heard something like that happened. Never got the name, though. Talk about bad luck. You finally get a lead, only to find out it's turned into a literal dead end. Unless her death was the whole reason Junouchi was shaken up. He said she was going to curse him. Was he talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave? It seems like we're back where we started. Not necessarily. That teacher knows something. I'm sure of it. At the very least, I'd put money on him having something to do with Ms. Shiraishi's death. Yeah, probably. That's why he's so scared of being cursed by her. I see. And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping. In any case, I think I've got a good idea of what he's hiding. Call it a hunch. A hunch? A hunchback of Notre Dame? No, sorry. Well, more of a theory. Again! No, we're not doing that either. Care to take a guess? I could guess. I can't say for certain, but... Well, now I don't know. Shoot, I don't know. What? Can I just exit? Oh, okay, let's be good. I would think so. Hold on, let's think here. So, I can't remember exactly what happened during the spirit reading, but they said it was an accident, but not an accident? If I remember correctly. Ah, damn it. Oh, damn it. So if she committed suicide, he's afraid she's gonna curse him. I'm thinking murder, but if he's also involved, he could be involved. And they were working together because then he was like in the school with another girl. Let's do blackmail. What if Mr. Junouchi silenced Michio Shiraishi with blackmail? What do you think? Oh, that was her talking, sorry. Exactly my thinking. What? What was that noise? Junoichi knew about Ms. Shiraishi's connection to the kidnapping, and he used that to blackmail her into doing his bidding. He made her feel so trapped, she took her own life to escape. That's my read on it. How despicable. Well, it's just a theory. Right now, I think we have to have another chat with Mr. Junoichi. Yeah. Bridges. I don't think that's important to the case. The Sumida River. The water is filthy and horrid, but at night, when it's still, it looks almost peaceful. Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is the Sumida River what you Honjo folks picture when you think of home? I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can hardly stand the sight of it. Oh yeah, that's where her son was found. Right, should have guessed. This was where they found him after he went missing. All alone, floating in that horrible water. All I can think is how scared he must have been. How cold he must have been. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? I've come here every day since then, and I prayed to the river to give him back, to give me back my son, day after day after day. That's gotta be a horrible feeling. You know, in olden times, people believed rivers marked where our world meets the next. So the act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Edo was founded, the people of Chuo saw the Sumida River the same way. They associated the far side of the river with the afterlife. That same place would later become Honjo. We're in the afterlife. This whole area is the afterlife. All their fear and revulsion accumulated there and took root. But then, the Ryogoku Bridge sprang up after the Great Fire of Meireki, and just like that, Honjo was part of the city too. And as it turned from a far land into a town, the people surrounded it with man-made rivers and crisscrossed it with canals and waterways. Waterways. There we go. Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was told. They were, but that's not all they were for. Their other purpose was to contain all the corruption that had built up on the far shore and stop it from leaking through to our side of the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially, they were a spiritual one too. So, if I have this right, are you saying that Honjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife? Exactly. That's why the rite of resurrection is here, rather than anywhere else. I'm sure of it. And it's probably why the 7 mysteries and their curses have survived to the modern day. And I guess that would make this spot we're standing now, right over the water, the border between life and death. If there ever was a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny that you mentioned praying to the river. That might have done more than you think. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Just thinking aloud, ma'am. Well, it's a nice thought. The Sumida River, a Class A river that is part of the Arakawa River system. It runs through much of eastern Tokyo and empties into Tokyo Bay. During the Edo period, Sumida's riverbanks played a key role in the transportation of lumber used for construction. In addition to its logistical importance, it was also a place for the common folk to gather and enjoy activities such as seasonal flower viewing or river bathing, and there exist many woodblock prints depicting such activities. The area became plagued with sewage issues when the surrounding environs were industrialized in the post-war period, but the situation has improved since. Many unique bridges span the Sumida River, including the Ryogoku and Azumabashi bridges, which attract a large number of visitors as sightseeing spots. Massive fireworks displays in the summer are also always sure to draw a crowd. The river has served as a cornerstone for both the city and its people, having both aided in its development and serving as an inspiring backdrop for countless works of art and literature. Oh, that's a shame considering that she saw her son, like her son was found there. Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Hopefully it's a good one. Shit. Do you mind if I tell you? Go ahead. It must have been about 20 years ago now, when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, the Sumida River was much filthier than it is now. It was full of garbage and industrial discharge. It was scummy and slimy, and it stank. You could look out over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating. Ew. That's terrible. And one day, among all the filth and garbage, there was a piece of my missing classmate's hand. Damn it! Okay, so it's not a good memory at all. Shit. What? It was almost a miracle when you stopped to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her hand, that was still recognizable? And that although everything but the palm had rotted away in the water, the part that was left, the part that was left would have an identifiable scar, and that they could tell that it had been a murder from the blade marks on the bone. Wow. Wait, are you talking about the Najima murders? So you have heard of it. I'm impressed. I assume you were but an elementary schooler at the time? I wasn't really aware of it then. I only heard about it after the fact. I had no idea the victim was a classmate of yours. An overview of the Najima murders, a notorious case from over 2 decades ago involving the murder of a female high school student. It first came to the attention of the authorities when part of a human left hand was discovered floating in the Sumida River. Testing revealed it to belong to a missing female high school student. As it appeared to have been severed deliberately, the police launched a murder investigation. A large-scale search of the river was organized, but the highly polluted state of the water made this impossible. Visibility was poor, the stench was intense, and the divers quickly fell ill. They succeeded in recovering only the victim's head and what appeared to be part of her leg before the search was called off. Ugh. At the time of the incident, the Sumida River was as polluted as it had ever been. Neither fish nor shellfish could survive in it, eventually causing the annual fireworks festival to be called off indefinitely. Over the course of the search, the police discovered a number of unidentified human bones. This caused a stir among the public, as several other young women had gone missing in recent years in the Tokyo area, and it was feared that they may have fallen victim to the same fate. Forensic technologies at the time, however, were not advanced enough to determine the identities of the deceased, and so the police were unable to open any inquiries. Due to the overwhelming lack of circumstantial evidence, the investigation ground to a halt until a hitherto unrelated individual came to its attention. During a questioning about a separate incident, Fumichika Najima, a 36-year-old shop owner with no relation to the victim, divulged details about her that had never been released to the general public. An investigation into his background was conducted, leading to his arrest. Najima testified that he had snatched his victim from the street and confined her in the underground storeroom of his shop, which also served as his living quarters. He chose her for no special reason, but simply decided she was an opportune target on seeing her walking alone at night. After keeping her locked up for several days, he restrained her, sewed her mouth shut, and severed her fingers and toes with a box cutter while she was still conscious. Oh my god. No. As she screamed silently behind her sealed lips, he proceeded to her wrists, her ankles, her elbows, her knees, working his way inward slowly and methodically. His victim constantly wavered in and out of consciousness. Her ordeal continued until she died of blood loss. Oh, that's awful. Ooh. Oh, that's sorry. I had to take a little oh god. That's horrifying. Najima dismembered the rest of her body and disposed of it behind his home in the Sumida River before cleaning his storeroom and returning to his everyday routine as if nothing had happened. The brutality of his actions shocked the nation when they were eventually reported. Once apprehended, Najima readily divulged the details of the murder, but he was less willing to explain his motive. You know he did more than just this one girl. That's disgusting. When asked, he would only break down in tears, saying, "I don't know what came over me. I know it was wrong." Oh, shut up, dude. In the end, the police could extract nothing more from him than expressions of remorse. Although the efficiency of his methods strongly suggested that he had committed similar crimes in the past, no corroborating evidence ever came to light. Najima was sentenced to life in prison at his first hearing. The sentence was imposed with no appeal from the defendant. Well, at least he didn't appeal. Fucking sicko. And there he is. Nasty. To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just parting around me. Something like that. They said the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They combed the riverbed, but they only ever found pieces. Everything else must have rotted and flowed out to sea. Afterwards, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill. A sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny. Everyone figures the river's filthy already, so one more piece of garbage won't hurt. But every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. I know I wouldn't want to go rooting around down there myself. That's right, which is why the riverbed is the last place anyone would go looking. Or so was the killer's thinking, I suppose. The times were changing quickly back then. Things were confusing, and everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from home to make it in the big city. And they made easy targets for bad people. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace. You see, back then, if you chopped a body up into tiny pieces and threw it in the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly and sink to the bottom, never to be seen again. Are you saying what I think you're saying? They arrested him shortly after. Fumichika Najima, the man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodical about it, it couldn't have been his first crime. And people began to wonder how many other girls he'd murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murders in the end. But the river knows the truth. The nasty, horrible river. How many corpses has it swallowed up over the years, I wonder? That same thought spread through everyone's mind, and they started to avoid this area. So really, this river has been rank with corruption for decades now. Or at least, that's how it seems to me. Well, was that interesting? Well, I can see why you don't have any good memories of this river. Yeah, it doesn't seem like anything at all. With all that darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason that you would. Still, if I may, ma'am, I'm surprised you know so much about the Najima murders. But how could I not? I mean, yeah, it was her classmate. After all, I was the one who found the hand. Oh, she even found the hand. Oh my god, Haruhi. Killing me. No wonder why she's so strange. He's like, you're strange. She's like, yeah, thank you. The police actually wrote me a thank you letter. Wow. They said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Najima to justice. That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me. Oh, that's heavy. Huh. I guess it just wasn't the killer's day. Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for it. Jesus Cristo. Oops. A curse? Oh my god. Ah, look at that thing. Oh my god. Mockingbird number 8. Here I was like, a curse is watching us. Bah! And then you look and it's like, hey, what's up? Oh my god. What's she called? That looks like a Yankee. Where are you? Oh, there. The Pink Punisher. Oh my god, the Pink Punisher. That's hold on, look at her. I'm gonna move myself. Look at her. She's beautiful. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous lady. Alright. Oh wait, didn't he have something else to say? Please go. That's right, he had something to say. I forgot. I'm sorry, Victor, I forgot. Alright then. I've been poking around places connected to the 7 mysteries, looking for curse bearers. And I think I found a few candidates. First, a tall man I ran into in Kinchibori Park. That is Tetsuo. No, not him. What the hell is his name? Takumi Yumioka. Yeah, that's him. I asked him for directions, trying to probe him a little, but he turned the questions right back around on me. Sounds like him. And he was out of there the second he figured I wasn't the one he was looking for. I got the sense curses were nothing new to him. I'm about 40% sure he's a curse bearer. Then there's this middle-aged guy I saw on South Warigesui Street. Ooh, is that the guy that on South Warigesui Street? That was the one where that weird samurai was, and then Shogo got pulled in to the room and like it was all dark? Maybe he's dead. There's no question about this one. He had one of the curse stones in his hand. I wonder which one? He had a nervous air about him too. It was clear he was up to some shady business. Gathering soul dregs, I'd bet. He'd make a good target. Ah, yes. Next up is a pair. A young man and a woman I saw around Ryogoku Bridge. This time, the man came up to me and asked me flat out if I was a curse bearer. Oh, well, yeah. He does seem like that type to do that. Real cocky. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about, and he backpedaled and left. Looks like they lurk around there often. Looking for kindred spirits would be my guess. Though, it doesn't seem like they were quite working as a pair. Gathering soul dregs in a group might be a decent idea, if you could make it work. But with things being how they are, it's gotta be hard to find folks one can trust. They've got brass, though. I don't know what their deal is, but I'd like to find out. Ah, the police. Last is 2 detectives I've seen sniffing around. The police are involved? Not necessarily. A body turned up in a local park a few days ago, so they might just be looking into that. Still, the park's got ties to one of the 7 mysteries. Might be it was a curse that did the guy in. And if they're sending in detectives from the head office, then something's got to be up. How do you know where they're from? Let's just say that when you're in this business, there are some faces you get to know. Anyway, that's everyone who's caught my eye. You found all of them in so little time? They really did hire the best. It's all in the name, ma'am. Richter Kai, P.I. No, wait. Make that Richter Kai, Investigator Extraordinaire. My, an Investigator Extraordinaire. Is that why you can dress like that without drawing attention to yourself? You bet. An Investigator Extraordinaire can blend in like a chameleon in any outfit. I wouldn't say he blends in. Well, that aside, the middle-aged man and the young couple sound the most promising. Am I right? Whichever we pick, it's still too early to make a move. It seems like the curse bearers are less involved with each other than we thought. Plus, there's still others we don't know about. I say we hang fire and see how things play out. Once more bodies start showing up, that'll get the pot nice and hot. And once it's boiling, our chance will come. Is something wrong? Not really. It just struck me. It's been 20 years since the Najima murders. So it has. Not to spook you or anything, but I thought you might be interested in knowing. Life in prison doesn't always mean life. What do you mean? There's a precedent for first-time offenders being allowed out on parole after 20 years. Yeah, that's true. Even sometimes here in America. Only if they're found to show remorse and the desire to reform themselves, of course. That's right. I'm impressed you know so much. Still, it's hard for someone with a criminal record to reintegrate into society. I hear they've been trying to fix that recently, matching inmates with jobs and accommodation. Oh, really? They keep an eye on them, of course, and make them report in for regular checkups. But to avoid discrimination, they keep the inmates' records a secret from everyone but their employers. They even give particularly notorious criminals new identities so they won't be recognized in the workplace. My. The way you put it. It's like you're saying Fumichika Nejima could be out on parole right now. Back in society, under a new name, with nobody any the wiser. So 30, so he'll be 56. Middle-aged man? The one that Kai saw? Perhaps the one that got killed by Shogo on Watagesui Street? Maybe. It's possible. As it happens, a little birdie told me about a big name making parole a few months back. I don't know if that was Nejima, but our discussion just now did bring it to mind. I see. How unsettling. Now that you mention it, I just remembered something too. What is it? I was passing Komagata High School a little while ago when I saw someone. A janitor, I think. And I could have sworn he reminded me of Fumichika Nejima. Oh? He looked a little different after 20 years. Much thinner than I remember, too. I told myself I was just seeing things. But perhaps... It's the janitor dude? Perhaps it was him after all. What? What was his name? Makoto Ashimiya. 6 months ago. That face. I don't think so. Probably not. But you never know with these types of things. So, what next? The big question now is what the rest of the curse bearers are up to. Luckily, the Sumida River is a good distance away from any of the 7 mysteries. It's unlikely the other curse bearers will come all the way here. I can finally have a moment to think. I see. All right. Oh! You cannot currently progress any further. Once your situation has changed, select Resume to try again. Pressing Suspend will return you to the story chart. Well, that's frickin' interesting. Okay. I think that's a good place to end things here for now. Poor Haruhi, like, seriously. I can understand what's up with that, but damn, am I curious about everything else, because now there's like a connection here and whatever's going on in here. So that must be everything else is interconnected as well. And then maybe that middle-aged guy that Richter chased might have been the guy that Shogo encountered that one time. Things are looking good. Well, alrighty, guys. And with that, have a good evening. Bye.